Hi, I'm Emily Hagstrom, and I'm here at CERAWeek 2012 in Houston, Texas, where industry leaders have gathered to talk about energy, security, and the future of economic growth. Come along with ICOSA as we discover what's going on within the industry.
The conference isn't just about energy, it's about how energy affects global business, and it's something that's critically important to pretty much every industry. So bringing together the leaders here to discuss these critical topics helps to explore the needs of the future in global business.
IHS-CERA just did a study that found that there are 600,000 jobs in shale regions alone thanks to natural gas development. That number by 2035 is going to grow to 1.6 million jobs. So we really have a dramatic opportunity to put people back to work, to regenerate local economies, and to help our nation's energy security.
One of the few things standing between energy independence in this country and all that that means in terms of national security and balance of payments, local job economies, is the public relations issues surrounding issues like fracking. And that I think the industry has a tremendous self-interest in being more transparent.
Is that if the U.S. border is closed to Canadian exports of oil, every day Americans will still get up, they will still consume 20 million barrels a day of refined products, they will still import 10 million barrels a day of oil, and the only difference is they're not getting it from their largest trading partner and greatest ally, Canada. They will be getting it from Libya, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Nigeria. And I would argue from an energy security perspective and from an economic stimulus perspective, that would be an extraordinary tragedy for the United States.
We're getting ourselves in a position of where we can not have to choose, I don't believe, between good environmental policy and job creation. Shell offers us a particularly great opportunity to do some really good things, but we're not going to be one-dimensional in our state. And I'm not going to oversell this either.
Compressed natural gas is right now about $1.25 per gallon equivalent cheaper, probably up to about $1.50 now that I think of it. It's cleaner than refined oil. It creates a tremendous number of jobs wherever you look across the country. There are 22 states that have significant natural gas reserves, and it prevents us sending, billions of dollars to often foreign dictatorships.
The gas in the United States has a great future to actually drive manufacturing industries within the states, plus petrochemicals industries, gas to liquids, gas to chemicals. So I think which will generate jobs, revenues for the state.
Well, in the U.S., that's where we buy our goods and services. We do come into the U.S. to support the engineering we need, the pipe we need, manufactured components we need. So the partnership of energy trade isn't just Canada selling energy to the U.S., it's buying goods from the U.S. in order to be able to deliver the energy.
What is the state doing to control growth within the oil and gas industry so it doesn't happen too fast?
Lots of trucks, lots of crowded restaurants, those kind of things. We like that. Okay, that means we've got business in a place where there hasn't been any business.
I think there's a strong, in Congress, a strong voice of rural Republican legislators who they see that this creates, especially for county governments, a reliable source of revenue for a long period of time that allows those counties and municipalities to improve their education systems, improve mobility, allow them to get alternative businesses started.
We recognize the importance of energy, but believe me, it is not in any way, shape, or form to the exclusion of all other potential things that Ohio can do to create jobs and have economic strength. A lot of the jobs that are going to be created directly, we think there'll be jobs for all Ohioans. But a lot of the jobs that will be created will be located in areas where we've had multi-generational depression or, recessions bordering on depression. And I think that people are aware of the fact that as long as you're going to pay attention to these legitimate environmental concerns, and I don't mean extreme environmental concerns, but legitimate environmental concerns, we need to have this industry because it's going to allow people to be able to climb out of poverty, families to be stronger, and kids to be better off who are in those families.
As Shell, we are always driving a global approach. So for us, what we are learning here, we are applying in Europe, our gas principles are global gas principles, so they're not just for the United States or for North America.
We need one day to sit around the table with all the stakeholders concerned, and of course the state, but every players, and we need a debate on the issues of both energy and environment. In my company, we do not oppose those two issues. They are real issues and we have real challenges ahead of us. I mean, I say the collectivity in terms of supplying energy. I mentioned that in my speech, but at the same time we have to address, and I think I was quite clear in my speech also, we must address the environmental and societal aspect of our activity.
But the regulations at the end will be a national, maybe a regional issue. So if you are in Europe, you see that you have got countries going different ways. You may get Brussels regulations. You have clearly to deal with regulators in the United States as well as in China. So I think it's one thing which a global company can bring to the table, that we can actually make sure that the best standards are applied on a global basis.
The regulations that we're going to have on our high-pressure pipelines are more forward-leaning than where the federal government is right now. I mean, the federal government is going to need to update their rules and regulations. I mean, when staff told me our regulations are going to be tougher than the federal government, I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, the regulations that they have in place are old-fashioned and outdated. So we're going to be able, perhaps even, to be a model for where we need to move in terms of the gathering lines and the high-pressure pipeline.
Colorado, for those of you who aren't familiar, I mean, people say that whiskey is for drinking and water is for fighting, generally. And the amount of water that we use in all of our oil and gas exploration is a fraction. It's less than 0.5% of the water consumption in the state of Colorado. That being said, people take it very, very seriously. And we're talking to the oil and gas industry in Colorado now about, before someone drills a well, where they're going to do any fracking, requiring them to go out and go to every existing water well and take a water sample and have a baseline. Just so that we know what the quality of that water is before the well's drilled, so that people could feel very comfortable that you know, their resource, their precious resource of water isn't going to be in any way tainted.
We're looking at new technology that can help to clean this fracking water, and we're looking at all kinds of approaches. You know, within the bill, we're going to require that fracking fluid be made. Got to describe exactly what's in there. The wellhead is really important. The gathering lines need to be secure. The high pressure pipelines. So, you know, we're in sync, really. I mean, I'm sure there's environmentalists and even Henry, who's over there at NRDC, may disagree, but if you looked at a regulatory regimen, it's pretty strong. I mean, it's very, very, very strong.
And it's not just water, it's the air quality. And how do you make sure you begin looking at fugitive methane so that as rapidly as possible we don't flare, that we never vent? I mean, we're looking at the appropriate regulations to make sure that, and it's good business for them, because in each of these cases, recycling the water saves them money. They can find the most efficient way to do it, making sure that there is no fugitive methane, that they're capturing every molecule. That's a molecule of methane that can be sold. So we've had, so far, I think, a very positive response from industry on a lot of those green issues surrounding more intensive exploration.
We want to see the challenges early rather than at the last minute, and we are convinced that we have prepared ourselves. And the regulators and the other stakeholders who have given us the permits, I think, have the same conviction that we can operate in Alaska in a safe and reliable way. So we want to have those challenges and discussions early rather than late.
How are state leaders working together to realize similar economic benefits and create more transparency with their experience in the oil and gas industry?
When you get to El Paso County, and where it really is an issue, they've just never seen oil and gas before. I mean, this horizontal drilling is in the Niobrara Formation. There's a tongue of it that comes down into El Paso County, and that has created. I mean, people are just having to rethink what they always thought about their neighborhood. A lot of people don't realize that off a single site, you can drill a dozen wells now, and you can cover a large area without having endless trucks and endless traffic and a large superficial area that becomes utilized for that.
Natural gas development itself is done correctly is a great resource, and our companies are very committed, not just to talking to people about safe and responsible development, but actually following through and doing it.
In anything you do in life, there's always things that happen that are accidents. What I want to avoid is the fact that we had an accident because we were somehow careless. Because if we don't handle it right, we could blow it for a couple generations, and I'm not going to let that happen.